All right, guys, so here are the vocabulary words you need to know for Act 2 and Act 3. So you need to make sure first that you get this paper from Mrs. Martin, who is acting as your sub today. And also, if you need to talk to me, I am here all day. I'm just administering the ACT test for juniors. So I'll be in my room after lunchtime, and probably during lunchtime too. All right, so here are our vocab words. Pause this video as you need in order to fill in the definitions on the left-hand side of the paper. All right, so our first word today is a verb, meaning you need to use it like an action. So this is the word conjure, which means to bring to mind or to bring into existence. So for example, you might hear conjure used in a sentence like the magician conjured coins from behind people's ears. Or it could also mean to bring thoughts to mind, like I tried to conjure happy thoughts. So to bring to existence. Our next word is a noun, it's a thing. This is oxymoron. So an oxymoron is a figure of speech using contradictory or opposite ideas. So if you look over here at the picture, the term jumbo shrimp is an oxymoron because jumbo means big and shrimp can mean teeny tiny. So jumbo shrimp is an oxymoron. Down here's an example of an oxymoron that we read from Act 1, Scene 2, I think, or Scene 1. So when Romeo's so depressed and he's talking about how Rosalind doesn't love him, he says, oh, loving hate, oh, heavy lightness, oh, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health. These are all oxymorons because they have opposite meanings like cold fire and sick health. These are oxymorons. Okay. Our next word is an invocation, and it just means prayer, and that's a noun. Invocation is prayer. Next is a word that you might hear all the time, especially if you watch any legal shows. This is the word perjury. It's a noun. Perjury is the act of lying on the stand or false testimony. So if you saw a murder and then you go to trial and you get up there on the stand and the lawyer's asking you about it and you say, I didn't see anything. I didn't see a thing. You would be committing perjury, meaning you would be giving false testimony. You would be lying on the stand. So you can see the comic over here. It says, well, Your Honor, please remind the defendant of the penalty for perjury. So we know he's lying, right? Because he's Pinocchio and his nose is growing as Pinocchio's nose does, according to the story, whenever he lies. All right, our next word is the word procure, and that's a verb. It's something you do. So procure means to obtain or to get. So I went to the grocery store to procure some food, or the picture up here is this person has procured a whole bunch of cash. Our next word is variable, and it's an adjective. So you might have heard of a variable in math, which is a noun. Here we would use it as an adjective, like the weather is so variable, and it means changeable or constantly changing. Okay, the weather is so variable. In Romeo and Juliet, Romeo seems to be pretty variable because at first he loves Rosalind and then all of a sudden he loves Juliet, so he's always changing. Our next word is wanton, and this is also an adjective you would use to describe a person. So someone is wanton could be foolish, reckless. It could even be a term for a selfish or spoiled child. So wanton behavior would be like selfish or foolish behavior. Our next word is banishment, and that's a noun, but it could also be a verb. I could banish someone. So if I banish them, that's a verb, or banishment is a noun. So banishment is exile, or when someone is forced to leave. So in one story from the Bible, Adam and Eve are banished from the Garden of Eden, meaning they're kicked out, they're exiled, they're forced to leave forever. So a banishment is when someone is forced to leave or exiled. All right, our next word's an easy one, calamity. It's a noun, and you would use it just like the word disaster. Okay, it could be for big things like your child has a tantrum causing a whole bunch of calamity, or it could be, could be small or big. Calamity could also be like a huge, horrible event, like what happened here with these cars. So calamity is a disaster. And then next is commend, and that's a verb that means to praise. So if I commend you for a job well done, I'm praising you. So here's a newspaper article. Eric so-and-so receives commendation award from Minnesota Historical Society. So commendation is the noun form of commend. So he's he's being praised. He's being given an award. So you would say, I commend you. Job well done. All right, our next word, maybe you've heard of this one, dexterity. Dexterity is when someone has a skill in performing tasks. So this person up here, she's got a lot of dexterity. She can shoot a bow and arrow with her feet. That's pretty impressive. So skill in performing tasks. Next is the word prevail, and that means to triumph or to win. So this soccer team, they prevailed. Okay, so, or you could say love will always prevail in the end. Use it like a verb. Okay, it's the act of winning or triumphing. Okay, and as always, remember, you need to find synonyms. So to do that, you can go to thesaurus.com. I do want you to try and come up with sentences on your own, but if you have a word that's difficult and you don't know exactly how to use it, you can go to wordsinasentence.com and look at some examples of how people have used that word in a sentence. Okay, get these worksheets done. They're due in a week from today. So next Tuesday, you're going to have a quiz over Act 2 and Act 3 vocabulary words. All right, be good to the sub, and I'll be good to you. Work hard.